those are James's kabobs. It's fennel and mushroom and pineapple. James has started on them now. And we're going to talk about Monty Python's Flying Circus, the episode called Deja Vu, Series 2, Disc 1. We're going to talk about the protector and sentimental value. That's James's salad.
Oh, I took away. You want to talk about the iced tea?
Not really.
We talked about it before.
So
this looks very smooth.
Yeah. So this is my outfit for today. It's a kind of mermaid thing. It's wonderful. It's very exciting, and it has. I have to be careful I don't show more than I would like, but yeah, it's nice see-through netting stuff, and it's see-through in the back, and just this is the only part that's covered, and then well, the pants. And this is way better than having a tail. Like, you can, I don't know if you can see how shiny it is, but in the sunlight I could see how it was sparkling. And anyway, so that's, I don't know if you can see the back of this with the camera like that, but anyway, how are your kabobs this way?
They're good.
Okay.
So that's fennel, eh?
Yeah, that's fennel bulb. I paid regular price for that because I don't know, I had a craving for fennel bulb, and so I had some fennel and some, what did I put them in? Oh, sushi. I put them in some sushi earlier, and so then I had this left over today, and I thought, oh, well, I should try that in a kabob for James.
It's fairly resistant, so
yeah. So I use
it
it
doesn't
instead
work
of the
as well as the broccoli stems, but it still works. So.
See, that's the thing is, when making kabobs, a lot of the time, well, it just takes a little bit of practice, but you realize that you need something kind of firm on each end, for sure, to hold the stuff from falling off. Because once you start, like, you can put the stuff on and it seems like it'll stay on, but once you cook it, it gets softer and it'll fall off more easily. You don't want it falling off. No. So, yeah, the broccoli stems work really well. We get the long broccoli, not the ones that are like we grow them here, but the ones like they grow in Mexico or something with the long stems, and then you can cut the stems off, and they're not very big around. They're still very tender, and then you can put them on the kabobs, and it holds it on nicely.
They're tender enough.
Yeah.
They're somewhat woody, but they taste plenty.
Yeah. I don't know. They're just firm enough to hold it on. And well, the fennel bulb, not as good at that, but it worked. So anyway, this is my.
I suppose celery would work a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna try celery on you next and see what you think of that. So, yeah, I put lots of fresh avocado on your salad.
Well, that's probably better than typical dressing, right? Although you make very good dressing.
Well, I just put lemon juice on this one. Well, garlic and lemon. It's almost like a Greek salad, but
better.
Yeah, I don't think I put any cucumbers in that. I'm not sure.
Well, anyway. I think avocado might be better for you than cukes.
Well, I could have put cukes, but I just didn't.
I think avocados are a good, healthy source of fat.
And the reason that I'm not eating right now is because I was sad today, and so I already ate over 30 net carbs today. So I really shouldn't have any more. But as long as I keep it under 50, I think I'll be all right. But if I have to, if I feel I need more food later on down the road. Anyway, so I'll get rid of these two first. We're watching another, well, James has been watching a Norwegian show about World War II, and he's liking that quite well. This is a fictional thing, and it's from 2025. Both of these are, I think. I think this one's 2025 as well, Protector. And you may wonder, well, why did I put this ahead of this one? This one seems more arty and whatever. And for its type, I guess they did a good job. And I mean, it's in Norwegian and English, but mostly Norwegian. So you got to read a lot of subtitles. It's 133 minutes long, so a little long. And honestly, I think they could have edited.
It could have been.
Yeah. But the ending is excellent. Because even though, well, I don't want to give it away. Yeah, I don't want to give it away. Because it's actually, even though this ended up in the bottom of the stack today, it's a good stack. It's good enough. See, I really like Mila Jovovich as action-adventure lady. When I first heard that she was going to be, like years and years ago, when I heard she was going to be acting as the leading lady in the Resident Evil movies, I thought, come on, she's a model. They couldn't have got a real actress or whatever. Actor, what she would prefer. But she was, honestly, I can't imagine they could pick anyone better for the Resident Evil stuff than her. She really pulled it off. She pulls off the action stuff really well. And I think part of why it works so well is because she was a model and she's really thin. When you have, when you don't have a lot of weight, you don't have a lot of curves here. And I mean, she's a lot thinner than me, I think. So men can very easily, like thin men, because when you get a certain weight, like when you're really thin, then pretty much the builds are androgynous. You know, it's like boy, girl, you know, it's sort of like early teen or something, or maybe even younger kind of look to the figure. And then when you get a certain weight over, then, you know, you get that kind of diabetic build, then you're androgynous again. It's like man, woman, you know, whatever. So, but of course the diabetic build doesn't work for action adventure. I mean, you wouldn't really, unless it's a comedy as well, that you wouldn't believe that, right? So, and I don't think the diabetic build men would do the stunts any better than the women. But I imagine that the stunt men would probably still be more common than stunt women. And if you have a very thin build, then the men can play the women in this for the stunts, and it'll be very convincing. So I think that's why it works. But because I can't imagine she does her own stunts and you know, the fighting scenes and whatever. But this kind of worked for me. It was a little bit cheesy. I was watching it going, maybe it's not as, you know, well thought out as this or anything like that. But you know what? They kept it in 1 hour 32 minutes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't appreciate it when it's 1 hour or 133 minutes. I don't appreciate
smokes.
that. I'm like, okay.
That's 2 hours and
Go
13.
back to the editing room. It's too long. So, and whatever. So that's a lot of why this ended up below. I don't like drama sort of things, and I definitely don't like actors acting as actors and writers writing stories about writers. I don't like that sort of thing. It seems really uncreative, and I mean, it can be tough to relate to the actors on the screen, their lives and whatever, right? Because they're living a sort of aristocracy. They're like that the common man isn't. So unless you can sell us on you not being like aristocracy, you being like the common man, then we don't really care for it so much. I think that's a lot of it.
I got a point. I mean, it's the same thing with rock and rollers, right?
Yeah.
They pretend they're left wingers and stuff like that. Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger. And it becomes less and less convincing as they get older. Oh, richer and richer and whatever.
So I didn't like the beginning of this Protector movie. I thought the scenes they weren't really necessary for the movie a lot of the time. It's like, okay, you got to start in with action right away. That's what the action audience wants to see. They want to see action. So you got to start with that. You can't start with like some scenes of her in a military outfit and whatever, unless there's like serious action to do with the movie, to get you, oh, this is what's going to happen. Whatever.
It's really important in drama.
Very important.
Theater, film. Even they talk about the Iliad starting in media res. That's a Latin term. It means in the middle of the thing, or the action, right? You start in the middle. A sign of poor writing is the expository thing. Oh, do you remember when we did this? Oh, yeah, you were born where? That sort of stuff. Make it fit into the action. People can figure things out. They don't have to know everything right away.
So, anyway, I do like that they kind of zipped ahead in parts. I don't like the ending exactly how it was explained by her commander, or whatever the explanation. I think it should have been a little bit different, but I don't want to give it away, so I don't want to say what. Anyway.
Folks, it's a good sign when Pauline does that. I suppose when I do it.
Yeah.
Because expecting
for
that
a
you might
long time
watch
in this, I was watching it going, well, I like seeing her doing the action. I like that this is a woman doing this action, but it's sort of like the story of Taken, and she's going after the daughter, and then maybe it's not like the story in Taken, and that's adds some interest, and boy. So this surprised me, so it got above this one. Now, Deja Vu. This is my favorite episode in Monty Python, is Deja Vu. And it's funny because we saw a guy he and another guy we worked with at the city were very into Monty Pythons, and they would they would run the lines back. They knew the stuff, knew the stuff up there. So they know the Spanish Inquisition, whatever, all that kind of stuff, or silly walks, whatever.
So that's the guy we saw today in Al.
Yes. So
they were funny. They were a good comedy too.
Yes, and
who was the straight man in that?
Well, I mean,
it was Al.
I suppose, I suppose you could see that, like you could say, well, John Cleese is the straight man in this. But is he really?
Well,
I mean,
there's straight man.
Can you really say that there's a straight man in Monty Pythons?
Well, it tends to be Graham.
Yeah, it is. You're right, and maybe John Cleese, but
Cleese is a different energy, but yeah.
Graham Chapman.
Anyway,
so when I watched, so I'd mentioned the Deja Vu too, and I didn't know that it was called Deja Vu, but I thought, well, maybe it's called It's the Mind, right? Because that comes up over and over too. But when I'd mentioned it to these two, they didn't know what I was talking about. And I thought, how can you not know this episode? It's awesome, right? To me, it's great because I guess it has that Monty Python silliness to it, but it's a little more cerebral, and it just makes it a little more interesting for me. I'm trying to find, because there's connections throughout it's really well thought out, And they do happen. They do like to have connections in their shows from
Oh,
like,
love it.
yeah. But this one, I think it's genius. And I was writing down everything in here to try to figure out, okay, what about it? Like, I'm trying to figure out why I think it's genius, but I couldn't. So I don't know. But anyway, so you have to watch it. So I'm going to read over my notes and see if you can piece together some stuff. It starts out, "My, isn't it hot in here?" the woman says as she strips down. And it's very hot, and I guess I've been stripped down quite a bit lately. But anyway, it seems like when I watched this as a teenager, it seemed like, and looking back on watching it now and thinking back as a teenager watching it, I feel like, geez, it's like it mapped out my life or something like that. Honestly, it's very strange to watch it. So I don't understand the taxidermied animals exploding throughout the episode. It doesn't make sense to me. Flying lessons. A secretary leads man through the British countryside into a cave, presumably through sewers and up into the city, into an office building, and to another identical secretary, which I find that interesting, that the two secretaries look identical. And then that secretary guides him into the office where a man is hanging from wires and he's pretending to know how to fly. But it's obvious he's hanging from wires.
I can see the wires.
Yeah. Then the man, it flashes to 2 years later, and the man who'd wanted flying lessons, he's become a pilot. And then someone points out, it flashes to somebody else criticizing the scene, and they pointed out that it takes 6 years to become a pilot, not 2. And so then the caption underneath the pilot changes, right? To account for that. So Valpa salesperson mentions his terrible headaches, which why is that in there? I don't know. But like, I was plagued with them through my whole adult life. Incredible headaches.
Well, it does have to do with the mind.
Yeah,
That's
it does. Yeah, I guess that's true. So the flying man mistakenly burst into the cockpit. So this was the man from before that was pretending to know how to fly, thinking it was the washroom. Then means to get back to the cabin and leaps from the plane, landing on a hay bale. There's a stick up. The plane's headed to Cuba, but the man is hijacking the plane because he wants to go to Luton, they say. The pilots are very accommodating, but since the hijacker is also accommodating, he agrees to leap from the plane to land on a bale of hay and catch a bus to Luton, which is then hijacked by someone wanting to go to Cuba. So Ewan McTeagle is a poet. His poems are requests for loans. So they're not actual poems at all. And so Lassie O'Shea, is she wearing the Morrison tartan? I'm not sure. St. John Limbo is a poetry expert, sits on a blue air-filled balloon chair. Does that mean something? Because it's air again, right?
Chair is awesome.
It is.
Color. Wow.
Yeah.
When I saw it originally, it would have been black and white. We were so
And the
poor.
fact that he's called St. John Limbo, right? In limbo, right? An actor recites a McTeagle poem on stage like a Shakespearean actor.
He did a great job.
He did. It was very
Was
excellent.
that Eric?
Yeah. A very good playwright mistakenly, like that's what the caption says, right? Mistakenly calls McTeagle's poetry pottery. Does that mean something? I think he did it twice, and then corrected himself. More taxidermied animals explode. I still have no idea what that means. McTeagle was wearing the Cameron tartan, says a Scottish expert. I don't know if that's true. Hands grow, leaves fly by like geese, blah, blah, blah. Butterflies all over the two women, and one licks a butterfly from the other woman's nipple, and it just seems strange to me that the butterflies things. Seeing lots of butterflies.
That's a cartoon.
Yeah, cartoon.
Terry Gilliam.
Milkman psychiatrist. 3 number 3s. Does it mean anything? Because 3, and maybe it does. Is numerology, and I think people believe 3 is like God, right?
That's one way of looking at it. There are other cultures and traditions that emphasize triads, of course, like the traditionally in Egypt, from what we can tell, each city had their trio or triad of gods. So father and mother and
son. Yeah.
So
right.
it's not too much of a jump to go from the mother to the Holy Ghost or something like that. The Catholics never gave up the idea of a mother, so that ends up being Mother Mary.
So housewife agrees to get treatment, and then the cat explodes. And well, I guess there's been so many exploding taxidermied animals. Dr. Cream complains, then others complain. The half mustache on Dr. Cream switches sides. Dr. Cream is in with a patient who is a cow, and when the woman is let in and then let out to wait in line, presumably, then other cows are waiting in line for treatment. The housewife is led by the milkmaid, past characters in the British countryside that we'd seen before in the episode by the man who wanted to learn how to fly. It's the mine. Deja vu. Host's spiel repeated uncomfortably. The host catches the psychiatrist's dairy's milk truck to Dr. Cream's office. Each time he deja vus, the mustache position changes, going up to a high position on Dr. Cream's face. Now, what does this all mean? It seems that it's so thought out. And I mean, what with the flying, the planes and it seems to have something about maybe God or the meaning of life, or I don't know, right? But it's definitely worth watching. And I don't know how anybody couldn't recognize that episode if they're a fan of Monty Python, because it's so great, so great. So
What year was that?
If you can try to think of what that could mean, well, that was from series 2. So you can, maybe? I don't know. You can look that up.
Anyway, I'm just wondering if Pink Floyd kind of were channeling Monty Python when they had this one album cover with a cow on it.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
Adam Hart Mother.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but that's okay. So, 70, 71?
I think Monty Python came first.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when Adam Hart Mother came. Was that the one after Amagama? Right? Might be the same year, 1970. Anyway. I saw 70, 71.
So there's definitely a lot more to watch in this. When we ended off, like, I guess I should go over the McTeagle stuff a little bit. Like, I thought James would really enjoy it. I should say that James said, well, he couldn't really hear it, and a lot of it, the humor you need to hear, we have this Blu-ray, and the TV we have doesn't really have sound. It has a little bit. And so he couldn't hear it, and they don't have subtitles. What were you thinking? You put this out in Blu-ray, and you don't bother to put in subtitles for these guys? Come on. Come on. Work on it.
Is that BBC?
Rather than putting out more crappy BBC shows, put out subtitles for the good stuff you put out, BBC.
So a lot of it is verbal, and they actually, I think some of them were university trained, maybe all of them. So my Latin prof had, I don't know how he got away with it, and hopefully we'll get away with it here, because this is from a university lecture. He was talking about, I don't know if it's probably John Cleese or something like that.
Well, you won't get away with swearing or anything.
Well, this is Latin. and it's
Oh.
not Latin swearing.
Okay.
So it's got a short form of Richard in it, with US put on the end.
Oh.
So
Okay.
you think
Well,
we could say?
no. Well, people understand what you said anyway, or what you didn't say.
Oh, what I didn't say.
Yes.
So do you think it'd be okay to say it with
I
a US on
don't
it?
think you could say it because you don't need to. It's already
Yeah,
understood.
but okay. But it's in Latin form, like with US. So it's biggest,
Yeah.
short form of Richard, us.
Yeah.
And he said, these guys were, I don't know if it's Oxford or Cambridge, Oxford prison. And he said, in Latin, he was doing it to emphasize to people, then in Latin, and by extension in French generally, when adjectives follow the noun. They're
So it should
modified.
be biggest after, you're saying, or what?
What he said, but the exception is when they are
Oh.
adjectives of size. That's
Oh,
what he
so
said.
it was correct.
Yeah. It was a very good lecture.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get stuff
that'll
that,
get you to
people
remember
can relate
it.
to. Of
Yes.
course.
That
People
is
go,
good.
wow.
So-
you know.
Yeah, no, nobody would get that wrong on the test.
No.
No, they'd
They
remember.
shouldn't.
Yeah, that's
If they were
terrific.
there.
Yeah.
The big problem with languages is people not turning up, and then they want their B plus or whatever. Oh gosh.
But yeah, the McTeagle thing, it's just interesting because I ended up with James, and James a poet, and he talks about the,
I write poetry. I'm not
Yeah.
a poet.
okay,
But thank you.
okay, and he taught me how to write poetry, actual poetry, and he talks about how so many people, he'll make fun of the way people will recite, their short prose that they call poetry, and they have this certain way of doing it, so that it's just like a weird culture that they're a part of, right? And so oh, well, it must be poetry because they're saying it this certain way. Right?
They're chanting it. So Ezra Pound had that criticism of William Butler Yeats. Pound actually worked as a secretary for him, and he volunteered for the job, apparently. But he'd say that when Yeats was reciting his poetry, reading it, he chanted. So that's chanting with a U after the A, chanting it. And the bizarre thing is, you got these folks nowadays, like 100 years after Yeats was doing most of his chanting, at least his chanting for Ezra Pound, and they're not writing chants, they're not writing anything that's, like is musical, really, in any sort of way. It's noise. That's okay. Prose is noise. And you write prose, but don't go calling it poetry. But they'll go, the definitive presentation of a genuinely iconic series. I can't do it now because I don't have the proper sort of stuff. I should read Margaret Atwood the way maybe she reads stuff that way. Anyway, it's awful, like with these huge, long, not
Well,
pregnant
here, I
pauses.
will do a little bit to
Okay,
it
yeah.
as an example. My, isn't it hot in here? There you go.
Generally they're cutting it where they
Right?
cut the lines.
Yeah.
Listen to Jim Morrison. Like he was the greatest fake poet ever because he got to the level where he was writing something like poetry, and you'd have to call it free verse, generally, much of it. But when you're listening to him actually recite